afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Mayday Network. I'm Michelle Kinney. I'm here with Julie Roginski. This is the Daily Dispatch, in which we bring you stories we think you should know about, and we want to talk about it. But before we get there, first of all, we want to talk about this crazy story about Donald Trump and Air Force One. That is just, it's like we're living in an era of just you couldn't write this shit, truly, day in, day out. But before we get there, I just want to talk to you about a little local story, Julie, that I didn't text you about this morning. Do you have the Citizen app on your phone?
I do not.
Well, if anybody out there in the world has the Citizen app on your phone, it basically is like, alerts you if there's crime or if there's, a fire or something like that going on in your neighborhood. And I got one this morning. Just, because the whole Upper West Side, I'll get one for anywhere, essentially. Somebody found a giant snake, like stuck in mesh on 95th Street and like Riverside Drive. It's like a python or something. And this woman found it. So she's like filming it and it's live, right? And I'm watching this and I'm like, I hate snakes. My husband's holding. Oh my God, terrified.
Okay.
And then the cops come. It slithered into the pipes of the scaffolding. They eventually had to like take them apart and pull. The whole thing. It was on
Michelle. It's obviously going to slither in through your toilet bowl next time you're there. I had to do it. The minute you told me you were scared of snakes, I had to do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that was not nice. But next time you're sitting on that toilet bowl, you better look down. I don't have a snake thing. I
do. Mine is familial. Oh, okay. Bugs. It's usually like a bug or an animal. It's not.
Yeah. Like I don't care about mice. I don't care about snakes.
Yeah.
But I'm grossed out. I'm grossed out by cockroaches, which, by the way, in New York is much more prevalent than snakes. I'm always shocked by the number of exotic animals people keep in New York City.
like why? And that's what I said to Joe. I was like, I don't understand what people are doing. Like, does it cuddle you? I hope not. Do you have small animals in your house? I also hope not. Like, how terrifying! Like this snake.
Maybe to get mice. Maybe people have a mouse problem. We all know pythons eat mice.
Get a cat. I don't know. The thing was stuck in the mesh in like this sort of construction area. And I guess it had been there for a couple days. And the woman called animal control, and animal control I didn't see was there, but the NYPD showed up, and these poor cops are having it. Like they had a Quince or whatever it's called, that company that makes like, stuff that looks like other stuff. And it was like a pillowcase thing with a drawstring, and they're like waiting for it, trying to catch it. It was like drama on the Upper West Side. And I read there was a whole crowd of people, gathered around to watch this. And this is like not I think it's like the second time in like the last couple weeks that there has been a giant snake found somewhere in Manhattan. I'm not here for it.
Well,
I mean, I don't know, Julie. It scared me. I don't know I didn't know that you don't have
no.
A thing for snakes, but it's absolutely terrifying. Terrifying. And I grew up in the country, so I do not like.
I don't have a thing for.
Oh, I think you keep touching this little thing here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have a thing about snakes. I'm totally grossed out by roaches. Like they're dirty. So,
yeah. When Joe came back from Italy a couple of months ago, there was one, a stowaway got in Joe's suitcase. And
Ew.
I know that, and all of a sudden he opened the suitcase, and 30 minutes later, there was the largest cockroach I've ever seen in my life.
An Italian roach?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it was not in our house before. And like he opened his suitcase an hour later. It was, and I had to throw a whole ass shoe at it to get it to die.
We have a mouse in our apartment, which is very typical for New York City, because my husband left a big thing of dog food out in the kitchen, and there's a little mouse hole at the bottom of it. The mouse tried to get into it. I know. So now I have to get the exterminator, and it's so sad because they're little teeny tiny mice, and they're so cute.
I know, but they have teeth and hair, and I can't.
Oh, I think they're adorable.
Well, speaking of rodents, yes. Cockroaches that won't die, and snakes that slither away, Donald Trump. Let's talk about Donald Trump.
Speaking of slithering away, Michelle, what a good transition. That's exactly what he did.
What a segue. What a segue. Yeah. So the Washington Post reported yesterday in an exclusive a story about Donald Trump leaving this NATO summit in Turkey back in July, and apparently creating some decoy, getaway plan that put him on a different mode of transportation than a lot of his staff and all of the entire press corps, because there was apparently an assassination attempt or plan or something against Donald. It's not new. This has been an ongoing threat to him. And we can walk through the article with the details here in a moment. But Julie, I guess my first question is not that this is not really, I don't know if it's something to like joke about it. I'm not joking, but like, do you believe the threat?
Yeah. You do? Yeah. Because the Iranians have been very clear. First of all, the Iranians have had their eye on Trump since the first administration. Remember, they blamed
John Bolton.
Yeah. They blamed John Bolton when he was Trump's national security advisor because he was responsible for, they think Trump and he were responsible for ordering the hit on Soleimani, who was one of the country Turkey borders Iran. It's not that hard for an Iranian agent or 2 or 10 or 15 to sneak across the border. Like,
hold on 1 second. Yeah. I'm seeing in the stream everyone saying that we are frozen.
Oh,
the live feed froze.
All right. Well, let's leave and come back.
It's very strange. How about this, folks? How are we doing? How are we doing, everybody? Is this any better?
All right. Well, on Substack, I think we're okay, but apparently on StreamYard, we weren't. So sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
Yes,
so sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Anyway, we're back. So the point is, Turkey borders Iran. It's not that hard for people to sneak across the border. Like, these people have been doing this since 1979. It is not out of the realm that there was a credible threat to Donald Trump. And, I have in a previous life been involved in presidential visits to places. And I will tell you right now, like, they take everything really seriously. Yeah. And especially if he's abroad. And especially when he's in a place like Turkey, which again, Syria, Iran. I mean, like, Turkey borders a lot of places that are problematic. So let's just take that seriously and understand that this seems like a credible threat. What is fascinating is 2 things. One is that he decided to fly his little Qatari palace over there, which he was warned repeatedly is not safe.
He didn't give a shit.
He didn't give a shit. Well, then the threat comes and he decides he's going to pretend to fly the old Air Force One back home, but he didn't do that. He left the old Air Force One, which everybody was on, his staff, the press, in a food cart, the things that they transport, like your lunch or dinner in.
Yeah, like airport, catering.
The catering cart. They stick him in there, which I can only imagine. I mean, he's a pretty tall guy, not as tall as he pretends to be, but still, he's over 6 feet tall. So he's obviously sitting there scrunched up like this. And he slithers out to a military jet that takes him to a different air base, out of Turkey. And then he gets back on a plane. But if I am the press and I am his staff, I've been used as a decoy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have not been told anything other than I am traveling in a much safer aircraft than the Qatari aircraft, because the president of the United States would not be put in an unsafe place. But of course, it was unsafe. It was deemed unsafe. It was deemed a terrorist threat because the president didn't fly in it ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
And his staff didn't know for the most part. And the press traveling didn't know. So they were basically used as bait.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that, people who've devoted your career to Donald Trump?
Yeah. Like, where is the line? I mean, and here's the thing, and before we get into the article, which we can do here in a couple minutes here, but like, here's the thing that I just will never understand. And I know I say this all the time, but I'm like, at what point do you think you are going to be okay? Like, do you think you're special? Do you think your proximity to him in Trump 2.0 is somehow going to save you because, you know, you weren't part of like the Rhino coalition of Trump #1, the first administration? Like, what is it that makes you think that you will be spared? There's a reason why it is said by my former boss, everything Trump touches dies. And in this case, he really kind of wanted it to. And I
We're back. We're not back?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
We're
I don't
back.
know.
I'm going to just say this. We seem to be okay in Substack, so I don't think it's us. I think it's a YouTube problem.
Okay.
So if this continues to happen, folks, sorry about that, but we can't do anything about it. We're just going to keep going. And if you want to follow us at the Mayday Network on YouTube or on my Mayday page, Salty Politics, please do. Anyway, so look, I don't know what to say other than you're absolutely right. All of these people who've been coddling him, whether it's the press or it's his own staff, have to understand that he literally put a target on their back. They were bait, a decoy bait. And I don't think they signed up for that. They didn't sign up to be doubles or whatever they are. So, you know, what can you say other than that? Friends, if we are buffering, come visit us on Substack. If you are buffering on YouTube, we're sorry, but that's not us.
Yeah, like I don't know what else to say. Like I know like you guys want to keep telling us that it's freezing in the chat. We see you, we hear you, but it's I don't know what else to do. And you can see us Substack and it's fine.
Yeah. Hold on, go to Substack.
This is very irritating. I think I'm just about done with StreamYard, to be quite frank.
It's not StreamYard, it's YouTube.
It is?
Yeah, because we're fine on Substack.
Oh, true. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so the point is, and for people who are like, oh, it's the right-wing press that's with him. No, it's also like it's not. It's the pool. It's the White House press corps. So it's
the
not at
people
all.
who threw him a second party a matter of 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, and said, you know, oh, he's a deal maker and he's this, and you know, and Kristen Welker's over in a corner schmoozing with Stephen Miller. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't understand when people are going to learn. I just don't understand. Let's just kind of walk through this first exclusive report from the Washington Post. If we can, obviously we're not going to read the whole thing because that would take too much time, but we'll just kind of like skim through this here. The headline reads, and this was reported yesterday at 6:53 p.m. on the East Coast. Contradicting public statements, Trump took secret flight from Turkey amid Iranian threat. An Iranian assassination threat against President Donald Trump prompted an extraordinary operation last month in which he flew secretly from Turkey on an alternate military aircraft, while the White House said he was aboard Air Force One. I can't. The clandestine mission, which has not been reported, because the security, by the way, also on the plane, to Julie's point that she just made, is like not up to par at all, which is to be expected, and like probably a huge national security threat, which in this incident I think kind of proves it to be. So Trump boarded the Air Force, the old Air Force One jumbo jet, in a view of television cameras. And I have a video of this here. I just have to reload it in since we had to leave and come back. He was secretly shuttled minutes later to a smaller plane via an airport catering truck, typically used to load meals and other supplies pre-flight. Let me just take this here, and then let me grab this video, because here we go. Here is the video of him boarding the plane. He like waves to the press. He goes on the plane, arriving at 10:27 p.m. And then here he is later getting off the plane in the UK. Oh, hello, everyone. Hello. And no one has any idea of what has just happened.
And gets back in the Qatari plane, which is,
which is fascinating. Fascinating.
First of all,
he's such a child.
First of all, let's be very clear about the retrofitting they had to do for this Qatari plane to make it secure, because that thing was bugged. That thing was, you don't think the Qataris put anything ever, like all of it. So first of all, they had to spend a fortune to make it more secure. And I bet you we're going to come to find out in the next couple of years after Trump is gone that it was not secure anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure there's trackers on it.
Yeah.
Like
so who the hell knows, right? But ultimately, he's such a child that he needs some gold-plated bullshit plane to fly around in. Because God forbid he has to ride in Air Force One like every other president, who was every single one a better man than he ever was, including Joe Biden, who I have to say people in the chat are talking about this. It turns out that his cancer has taken a turn for the worse, and it's spread, and he's in pain. And his son reported that yesterday. And so when I think about Joe Biden and I think about the shit that man has had to take from both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party since he left office while undergoing cancer, and I'm sure, knowing him as I slightly do, his sense of guilt.
It is not us. It is YouTube. We don't know what else to do about this. Please, if you would like to find us on Substack, it's our viewership is going down quite a bit, and I'm sure that has something to do with it. So we are sorry. Maybe if anything, we can, repost this in full later as a full video. But anyways, let's just go back through here. So he had been at the NATO summit with all of those world leaders, which we saw him saying a bunch of crazy and insane things, where he's proving day in, day out that he's mentally unstable and doesn't seem to know where he is. The operation occurred a night after U.S. forces renewed military strikes on Iran at Trump's direction, following a breakdown of negotiations between Washington and Tehran, which seemed to be happening every day, Julie. The war's on, it's off. It's like a high school relationship. It's like, oh, we're broken up. No, we're back together. And sometimes we can't even believe that this is our reality, but here we are. The maneuver meant that Trump's actual location was concealed from the American public and many senior U.S. officials for hours. Weeks later, it remains unclear how widely the administration has disclosed the operation. The Post provided the White House with the details from its reporting, along with a list of questions. In response, Stephen Chung, White House Communications Director, heinous human being, issued a statement defending the jet that was gifted by the Qataris and said, quote, "The new Air Force One is a state-of-the-art aircraft that has been fitted with high-level security protocols that ensure the safety of the president and his staff. As the president has said recently, there are many enemies of America who have had their sights on him, and we will use every tool at our disposal to address those threats." A spokesman for the Pentagon referred questions to the White House. A Secret Service spokesman referred questions to the White House and Pentagon publicly. The White House has repeated its account that the president left Turkey on the legacy blue and white Boeing 747 that served as Air Force One before Trump began using the Qatari jet. Like the whole thing is he has done nothing but call the other planes, the other Air Force Ones, anything that had anything to do with Obama or Biden or any other president. He has criticized over and over and over. Oh, it's junk. It looks terrible. This is just what he does, right? Because, you know, it's not gold plated or gifted to him by some sort of Middle Eastern dictator or something. But, you know, the irony here is that it was the safest place for him to be. And, the thing that makes him feel special and loved and gold plated was dangerous. And he sent the entire press pool and his staff on the plane that was it.
Well, because he does not care about anybody. In fact, I think if any of his children, besides possibly Ivanka, were on that plane with him, he would have left them there too.
Oh, absolutely, he would have.
So he doesn't care. He does not care.
No. I think he'd push his own child in front of a bus in order to save himself. Like, that's just the kind of person he is. He's a psychopath. He's a sociopath. He is a malignant narcissist. He is cruel and evil and, like, you know, again, mentioned 1 million times in the Epstein files, which we just don't even, I mean, I don't say we, I mean, like, we collectively as a country don't really even talk about that much anymore. This man has proven over and over again to be a monster. A monster. So the Washington Post came out with another article today about how the journalists are feeling about this. This was reported today at 11:22 a.m. Eastern. It says Trump's secret Air Force One switch crosses a new line with journalists. Bill Clinton's White House used a similar plane change maneuver in 2000. But unlike July's flight, the press corps was briefed on the operation and its dangers. This was Scott Nover reporting this at the Washington Post. Said when President Bill Clinton deplaned in Islamabad, Pakistan, the sleight of hand became clear. A decoy jet with all the markings of Air Force One touched down in view of the news media, and the Secret Service agent resembling the president emerged. Then an unmarked plane landed, and the real president disembarked. It was March of 2000, and Susan Page, a White House reporter covering the trip for USA Today, was one of a small group of people who knew about the ruse. Before the India to Pakistan flight, White House officials called Page, then the White House Correspondents Association president, and summoned her for an off-the-record conversation. There, White House press and security officials explained the operation, informing her of the president's location and safety measures in place for journalists on the trip. She said, they told me about the extraordinary security procedures being taken because of the dangers in flying there, including the use of a decoy plane. Of course, the dangers threatened the journalists covering the trip as well as President Clinton. Page's briefing, which has not been previously reported, meant at least one journalist in the traveling press corps knew the president would not be on board of Air Force One. But more than 25 years later, the White House faced a similar security dilemma, which we're talking about, but handled the press very differently. As we know, like, he didn't tell anybody. And I just want to go to this. This is the article from yesterday. I just want to go to the last paragraphs here. It says, asked why reporters had been instructed to lower the window shades on the plane in Turkey, which I guess they did, Trump said that it was, quote, because you're probably on a dangerous flight because of the sleaze bags that we have to deal with. Trump said that he has a threat all the time against his life, and that he said he is number one on Iran's list, quote, but if I go, you go, right? Trump suggested to reporters, quote, perhaps someday you want to change professions.
Yeah. Except that he understood when he was saying that he was secure. And they were being used as a decoy. Decoy plane, and they were targeted. And their profession is to report on the President of the United States. It is not to be this decoy.
Yep. They're not there to sacrifice their lives.
They're not
for the safety of Donald Trump. Like, that's not part of the job. That's not what they signed up for. And in that first article, also, the head of the White House Correspondents Association, whose name escapes me at the moment, was asked.
Right now, what's her name? Jackie Heinrich from
she was asked.
From Fox News.
She was asked, or whoever. I can go back and find it, but basically, the White House Correspondents Association was asked to comment on this, and they didn't want to comment
because she's a Fox News reporter.
Right? They don't want to comment. I'm like, how are you? Like, you're not going to stand up for your people? Here we go. And like, all they do is talk about, he's like, oh, the ballroom and this, and it's not safe. And this is why no one buys any of the shit that
I have a very good friend who is a reporter covering the White House. And I'm not going to say for which outlet, because I don't want to betray this person's confidence. But this person sent a letter to the White House correspondents saying, as a White House correspondent, and a member of the association, I do not think that we should have this dinner again for all the reasons that we can imagine. And the response was basically, thank you for your letter. Go, F yourself in much more polite terms. And, there are good people, conscientious people covering the White House who travel with this president.
Right. We're trying to bring the truth to the American people.
Without them, we wouldn't know what's going on. Who ask very tough shit. We don't ask very tough. Who ask very tough questions. And unfortunately, those people are not allowed. Who are also, and they're also used as decoys. And it's, at some point, you gotta wonder, like, this guy hates the press so much, he probably would not have minded. If Iran
of course, he probably welcomed it, like in some way, shape, or form, like just knowing him. And this is a man who, since his first rallies in 2015 and 2016, would tell his mob of supporters, because he'd put all of the press in that little pen, and he'd point to them and say that they were the enemy of the people, and he would have everyone go after them. And this is something that he has repeatedly done since, over and over and over again. He did it again in 2020 on the trail with anybody that was reporting on him then. He does it to the White House press pool now, the way that he even talks to Caitlin Collins inside the Oval Office and others. The fact that, again, and they all stand around, they don't stick up for each other. They don't look out for each other. They don't say anything. They just let this continue to go on. And like, again, like, look at what's happened to the Pentagon and the press pool over there. I mean, they've basically been banned. And they had a bunch of influencers and right-wing podcasters over there trying to, report on the State Department. I mean, it's crazy, or the defense rather. I mean, it's all just happening on TV for them. They don't want anybody in the room that's going to tell the truth. They don't want anyone there asking questions. And it goes beyond just a regular politician sort of like, kind of disdain for the press. I don't want to talk to them, blah, 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 blah. This is so much more sinister. This is so much more hateful, to the point that, again, we'll keep saying it, used the press corps as bait for a foreign adversary who we are in a military conflict with, to, if they needed to be taken out instead of him, oh well, one less problem he has to deal with.
And listen, he's very good at changing the subject very quickly, right? Like, when was the last time somebody talked about the Epstein files?
Right.
Even with Todd Blanche's confirmation, what held that up? It wasn't the Epstein files. It was the IRS scandal. Now we're off of that. We've moved on, right? Nobody's talking about the Epstein files. And
if every day is Watergate, there is no Watergate.
If every day is Watergate, there's no Watergate. The New York Times had a story yesterday that was on the front page, but kind of buried beneath this story that we're talking about right now, which is, oh yeah, by the way, let's re-up the fact, we knew this in 2020. Nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention, that Donald Trump was the subject of a counterintelligence probe by the FBI to see if he was a Russian asset. This is not Julie Roginski and Olga Lautman saying this. This is what the FBI believed was plausible. And then Rod Rosenstein shut it down.
Of course.
And Andrew McCabe, who was the acting head of the FBI after Jim Comey got fired, was quoted in 2020 as saying, if I'd known that this probe was shut down, I would have, restarted it. But
right.
I thought Robert Mueller was tasked with looking into this, but no, the reason the Mueller report turned out the way it did is he was given a very limited task to investigate a very few number of people like Carter Page and others.
God, Carter Page.
But not right, like these no names.
Right.
Paul Manafort, campaign manager, but he did, he referred them for indictment. But not Donald Trump. And he had to go to Rod Rosenstein for permission to expand that brief into a counterintelligence operation. Friends, this is buried. How many? I would love to know from people in the chat until I just said this. Did you know that that was a story?
I didn't know about that.
Well, guess what? The Federal Bureau of Investigation in 2017 believed that it was very plausible that Donald Trump was a Russian asset. Watergate. Do we not think that this is potentially the biggest scandal in the history of the United States?
In the history of the United States, on the 250th anniversary of this country's founding, and in which the International Olympic Committee,
in the history of the United States, this would be akin to Abraham Lincoln secretly being an asset for the Confederacy. Could you imagine if that were the case? And you might say, well, we're not in a civil war now, we're not in war. Yes, we are.
Be like FDR being an asset for Hitler.
Yes, we are. You don't think we're at war with the Russians right now? You don't think that what they're doing is what they call hybrid warfare?
Yeah.
And yet, friends, I know that we're frozen on YouTube. I'm going to say one more time, please go to Substack and follow us. It's not us. It's not StreamYard. It's YouTube. So please, if you don't want to be frozen, please go follow Mayday Network on Substack, or just, or Salty Politics, but preferably Mayday. So, I don't know what else there is to say about this, Michelle. But this is a man who is deeply dangerous. This is deeply concerning. And all of this is insane.
It's
insane.
Unbelievable.
Insane.
It's like, growing up with the stories and the movies of, the Manchurian Candidate and whatever else, it all just kind of seems so insane that it couldn't possibly be true. And here we are. It's just people nobody cares. Nobody cares. No one cares. And I think that's the difference between, Trump 2.0 and the first time around, is like, I had a fire in my belly in that first time. I felt hope, and I felt invigorated, and I felt, a sense of camaraderie of anyone in the opposition, that we were going to do something about this and we were going to fight back. And I was going to protest every weekend. And it just seemed like, it seemed like we were going to get through this and we were going to beat this guy. And we did. But then we didn't. Because again, you can win the battle and still lose the war. And this second time, everyone was like, well, I guess it's over. And just kind of shrugged their shoulder, and is allowing him to dismantle public health, food safety, our environment, our munitions capacity, our national security, every institution that has kept us safe, and USAID, which is, in terms of what killed 1 million people at this point, the dismantling of USAID. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And he's done this in less than 2 years. And it's like, what does the next 2 years bring? Especially if he's backed into a corner like a caged animal. Like, well, we have, how many, either diseases coming back, like there's a monkeypox thing coming.
The measles?
The measles. And by the way, he didn't say that. Yes, he did. I have the clip. He did say it. And a lot of people in that coalition said the same. And they led a movement of non-committal voting, like non-commitment, to not vote for Kamala Harris. Oh, well, we only did it in the primary. Oh, because that's going to help in a general. That's how these things work. You depress any enthusiasm for any candidates that may or may not make it through to a general election. That's going to spill over in lack of enthusiasm. That's how that works. I can't take it anymore. Like,
well, and I'll tell you something. When you are Hassan Piker, and I got into it with somebody on Substack today, and you say that you don't give, and I quote, a fuck about Black people's feelings, don't be shocked when you say that about may not come out and vote for your candidate. Now, Black turnout has been surging.
Yeah, especially since voting rights are
because of the Voting Rights Act. But I'll tell you something. They haven't been searching for the DSA candidates.
This is why I like Julie, and this isn't why we came on today, but I just want to say quickly that, you know, the conversations that I'm having privately with a lot of people who are afraid to speak up about how disgusted and alarmed they are about what's happening on the left. You know, being called a centrist or a corporate Democrat, which, if you know anything about me, is completely insane. I am tired of being bullied by these people online and harassed. I will not be shamed. I will not be bullied. I will not be backed into some corner because I do not ideologically align with you on every single thing. I won't do it. I'm not going to engage with you. I'm just sick of it. And when you have somebody like David Hogg going on CNN and saying that basically there is no room in the Democratic Party for people like me. Screw you. Well, a lot of us here have been Democrats longer than you've been alive.
Yeah. And have elected a lot more people than David Hogg has, which has been exactly zero. And I'm also going to say this, and this is really going to piss people off. If the price of admission to your little party is that we have to all fall in line with your maximalist views on the Israeli-Palestinian, and if that is how you feel, guess what American Jews are going to do? They are going to vote Republican this year. 5 hours of quotes that I can provide for you right now.
Oh, yeah. I got pages.
So nobody like that has a place in the Democratic Party. But if you are a person who disagrees with me on policy and doesn't use slurs or doesn't use misogynistic terms or say things like, yeah, people on October 7th, those Israeli girls deserve to get raped because they happen to be Israeli. Really? Okay.
And again, guys, we know that it's freezing. It's not us. There's nothing we can do about it. We're very, very sorry. I'll try to repost this, you know, from whatever's saved to the cloud. I will try to fix it. But for now, we're just going to keep talking. But Julie, I just, I hope people understand and listen, like Julie and I have both been really busy and we've had personal things going on. And, you know, we haven't been as present maybe the last few weeks as we'd like to be. But going forward and, you know, into the fall, like this channel, the things that we are going to say and the things that we are going to talk about here are going to be in defense of the future of the Democratic Party. And, you know, while we may align on economic issues, which we do, and on women's rights and voting rights and everything else, there is a coalition of crazies that we are just not going to allow to stage a coup into this party. It's just not going to happen. And we will continue to speak out about it. And you can keep writing weird Substack articles about us and whatever else. You like whatever kind of time you got on your hands to do
whatever clickbaity stuff you want to do to get yourself, you know, noticed on Substack by using our names.